Hey y'all, here's my tea tasting for today. It's a 2008 Tian Jian Chinese Heicha tea. The green is a typo, and the birds, there's a mourning dove. Don't know if you can see him on the ground. The birds are really at it this morning right out the window, chirping. So I've put the package in my butter dishes that I love to use, and you can see what the tea looks like. It's very dark. I took a few pieces and I put it out on my handkerchief that I have here, and so you can see they look kind of rolled to me, and they have little hooks on them. But I don't know if you can see right here, there's a lot of small, very small pieces in here as well. So there's a variety of sizes. It's getting a morning drink. I love the idea that I'm drinking tea with the birds. They're drinking in the water fountain. But here's the color of the liqueur. It's a beautiful kind of a golden color. Here it is in my cup. And hopefully you can see it. Here's the, after the first steep, what the leaves look like. Okay, so here are my tasting notes. This is 2008. I love that I'm getting these old teas. I haven't calculated how old that is. It is currently 2021. I see I did not put today's date in there. Gosh, it's May 1st. I cannot believe it's May 1st already. I looked up in my cheat sheet that I got somewhere online uh, for pronunciation, and IA is pronounced ya. So the T kind of says its own name. So it's Tian Jian. So I love that it rhymes. Tian Jian, and of course you'd say it much quicker than me enunciating it. I'm of course not an expert in pronunciation at all. So the Tian Jian, composed of the characters for heaven and tip. So it's commonly translated as heavenly tips. And this is off the um, barbel carp. Okay, my brain's not working today. But you see, it says it's from Anhao, which is the county you're going to see. It's a top grade heicha, and wrapped in huge bales of woven bamboo, and literally translates to heaven tips. I also saw another website that called it Heavenly Tippy Tea. I just had to put that down because it sounded good. So I got this as part of the club I'm in. I put pu'er because that is the categories I made with my little graphics. I probably need to make one for dark tea because this is a heicha, or known as a dark tea. Pu'er is a type of dark tea, but this is not necessarily a pu'er. So I'm probably going to make a new graphic and change those out in my personal notes later. So here's the same graphic that we've been looking at for a while now, and this one you see is highlighted down here, um, and it's from the Hunan province in the Anhao, I don't know how to say that, county. But you see how many of these dark teas are from Hunan, which is over here in this purple area of China. And there, again, I just copied this from another tea, so I'm finding it interesting how many teas are from this area. Processing, and this is aged some. This is the website that I took this off of. The Chinese characters were actually in the address in the URL. I thought that was kind of interesting. Um, so it calls it a top grade, and I highlighted a few things. You can always pause the video and read. It says plucking, killing, in parentheses frying, rolling, piling, re-rolling, and drying. So that makes sense. So my first instinct that some of those pieces were rolled was correct. Hey, I'm getting a little bit better at this stuff. um, and so to go down, something characteristic about this tea, there was a pine smoke flavor by the traditional processing, but by modern processing, there's no pine smoke flavor. So I was really anxious when I was tasting it to see if I could pick up on any pine. I definitely know what pine smells like. Don't really, I mean, really, I've never eaten pine, but we have pine trees in the neighbor's yard and their pine cones even fall in our yard. So, and of course, pine forest smells so good. Um, uh, it says that the tender tea shoot with tips is selected out to be uh, Tian Jian. I'll get it. It says the Tian Jian is sorted out from the high, whatever that is, Hey Mao Cha. Cha is for tea. So apparently, it looks like another tea is made with this at first, and then they select out only the best pieces to be made into this tea. That's kind of cool. And so then it is tightly packed in bamboo baskets and aged for a while. I thought I saw 1 year somewhere. I don't know. Obviously, this one since 2008. It has been aged since 2008, but it is a heicha, so it is a post-fermented tea, which is what heicha dark tea means. Although this is not very dark, the tea is because I have it in golden. As we saw in my video, the shapes and sizes are irregular. Some appeared to be rolled or even hand-shaped with the little hook at the end, and some are very tiny small bits. The aroma for me, my first thought for the dry is earthy because it smelled roasted to me. Uh, that was what I first thought. But the word lofty also comes to mind as in lofty air as opposed and contradictory to a breeze. So let you translate that. Those are just the words that came out of my mouth or my head. Uh, it is really smoky. What I thought was roasted is really the smoky flavor. I smelt no pine, but there might be a hint of a nutty in the dry. I'm not sure what nut though, and then that was the only thought of nut that I got in the entire experience. Because once I got to the wet, it was just as pleasant of a smell as the dry. I really enjoy smelling things, and I really enjoy smelling teas. I can just sniff it for a while while I drink. Kind of like people burn candles and have other things to smell. I just smell my tea. Um, but it does smell a bit different than the dry because I all thought a roasted went away. Um, and I can put that in here. All thought of roasted went away. It's now smoky, much like a stirring ash as it cools. So I love fires and campfires, but this actually reminded me like after the wood is burned and there's ash and I'm poking at the ashes and the little bits of wood that are left, trying to get them to finish burning up so I can go to bed. That's the smell that I got, not the traditional campfire smell of burning pine or any other kind of wood that you get when you're in full flame. It's was the leftover ashy kind of smell. So that's what came to mind. It's different than other smoked teas that smell more like wood that is burning. I wrote that. I'm going to skip this and come back to it. So the body I have is light, which is the second category. Not much body, really. I wanted to put it as the first, which is a very watery, delicate category, but I went with light. Astringency, I put in the bright light category. It's very lovely. It is very light and almost non-existent, although it does not taste smooth to go down a category to the smooth category. Uh, it it it's definitely a very light, pleasant, lovely astringency. The taste, extremely light smoked taste. As far as I always try to differentiate and focus on what I get before I swallow. I even allow it to kind of go in the, round my tongue. And I separate taste from finish. And all I got was a very light smoked taste. It's not a heavy tea like other smoked teas that are good for winter. This one makes me think of a light smoked summer tea, very kind of refreshing for the summer. Um, the taste and flavor in the finish, which we're gonna get to, does not change much over the next steeps. I had to put S in parentheses because it kept telling me steeps was not a word and underlining it as a spelling error, but we say it all the time, steeps. So I see that as a good thing, that it didn't change. It was not a very changey tea. The finish now, I taste a prominent, ever so delicate sour taste in the finish that does not last long. It takes over the taste profile of the tea. So somebody who's not um, trained themselves to focus on the difference between taste and finish might just call this finish the taste. Because it kind of dominates the whole experience. It's what you remember about this tea. It's not an unpleasant sour at all that requires like sugar, but the word lofty comes to mind again. So that's kind of cool that my thoughts during the aroma when I was smelling came through in the finish. Um, and then I'm thinking sour cherry. So the finish is not lingering as it's short-lived. So I went with juicy and mouth-watering because it does have that sort of mouth feel for just a short period of time. It doesn't linger, doesn't hang around like some of them. So I'm going to go back up after the second steep. Now I've had this experience of the finish still in my mind, which may have influenced it, and that's when I thought of dark cherries when I was doing the aroma. So I did go back and add fruit because I think definitely in the finish this dark cherry kind of extremely light sour taste kind of dominates everything, and then the smoky comes over first. I gave it 4 hearts. I don't know if I'd keep it on hand, so I didn't give it 5. But I love smoked teas, so this is a yes for me. I also find the finish very unique from other teas, and I wanted to use the word recognizable from other teas, although I am not trusting myself when it comes to memory recall. I might go, yeah, I recognize that. I've had this tea before, and then have trouble remembering which one it was. But I would definitely buy it again.